Greed is a common vice among gamers. Seeing numbers go up and new shiny things unlocking can be a terribly addictive thing, which is why a lot of players are willing to do anything to keep the high going. However, those who fly a little bit too close to the sun may find themselves horribly burnt. Some video game developers don't appreciate their player base becoming green-eyed wealth mongers, and in order to prevent them from getting too greedy, they design special punishments to make the most covetous of players think twice about acting on that vice. Though it's absolutely common, and in my case necessary, to be a loot goblin, the following games teach you that sometimes a bag of gold is just dead weight that makes you sink to the bottom. Sounds like my nightmare. Let's get into it. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 10 brutal video game punishments for being too greedy.
Want to stay safe online and save big? Well, you can. Right now, you can get up to 76% off a 2-year NordVPN plan, plus 4 months free and up to a $50 Amazon gift card. And all you've got to do is click the link in the description below or on this QR code that should be right down here in this video to get signed up with this great deal right now.
Number 10. A wish gone wrong. The Sims 2. Earning money is a crucial part of The Sims 2. Typically, that means finding a job and slowly climbing your way to the top. But if you're too impatient and lazy for that, there are actually shortcuts for getting filthy rich fast. Wishes, not cheats. Wishes. If you own the season expansion, your sim can come into the possession of your very own wishing well by joining and impressing the garden club. Unlike genies, the well allows you to make an unlimited amount of wishes, and one of them is a money wish, which spawns a large sack of simoleons every time it's triggered. Continuous use of the wish can make your sim the richest person in town without ever having to get a job, but you shouldn't let that get to your head, as the game might punish you for abusing the wishing well mechanic. Frequently wishing upon the well increases the chance of the wishes going awry, and if you finally trigger a negative outcome, a bag of simoleons will drop from the sky but right onto your sim's head. The accident kills them instantly, but hey, at least they died doing what they loved, getting filthy rich. Number 9. Shopkeeper doesn't mess around. Spelunky. In Spelunky, you play as an intrepid tomb raider who explores a huge system of caves in search of treasures that belong in a museum. That said, although you're free to peruse and loot whatever treasures the ancients have left behind, doing the same with the living will have some pretty terrible consequences. Each level in the game features a merchant that sells valuable items, which can be a great help during your underground exploration. You pay for these items with the treasure you collect, but you can also pick them up without paying for them. Now, you might be tempted to save some money by shoplifting whatever you need and running away before the owner notices. However, even if you do succeed, your action will permanently doom you. As soon as you steal, the merchant will become hostile and start chasing you with his shotgun. The man's a deadly opponent that can cost you your entire run, and the worst part is, even if you do manage to outrun him or kill him, his clones on all subsequent floors will be immediately hostile too, and that kinda checks out. The Merchant's Guild is very displeased with your thieving ways. Prepare to die. Number 8. The stingy bird loses their worm. Ripened, Tingles, Balloon Trip of Love. The Tingle games are a bizarre series of adventure games about the Legend of Zelda's weirdest character, Tingle. To reflect his quirkiness as a middle-aged man dressed in a tight fairy suit and flying around on a balloon attached to his tush, the titles that Tingle is the main character of are pretty darn strange themselves. In fact, one of them, Ripened, Tingles, Balloon Trip of Love, yes, that is the real title, and just for my benefit, try saying it 5 times fast, uses its own quirky mechanics to punish the player for being stingy. In the game, buying items from merchants requires you to actually haggle for them. You get to offer custom amounts of cash for whatever it is you want to buy, and naturally that means that some players are tempted to rip off the NPCs. If you don't want to pay the actual value of the item, you can try to offer a much lower amount, and then gradually raise it until the merchant finally accepts. Except using that strategy will immediately anger the clerk, and instead of letting you waste his time, he simply takes the money from you without giving you anything in return. Looks like the hustler became the hustled. Bummer. Number 7. The Collector Says Hi. Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a title that loves to torment its players. Typically, the emotional and mental punishment you experience isn't really deserved, but in the case of the Collector, any damage you suffer is completely your fault. The Collector is a hidden optional boss that can randomly appear during a dungeon crawl if the player is caught being too greedy. If more than 70% of your inventory is filled with rare trinkets and valuables, the game will secretly start running a script that will increase the chances of the Collector spawning in. Those greedy players who are unlucky enough to capture his attention are in for a nasty surprise when they walk through the corridors of whatever dungeon they're exploring. The Collector is a nasty opponent capable of summoning severed heads of the people he's collected, making him harder to hit while also giving him more buddies to make your life a living hell, in a game that already makes your life a living hell in the regular gameplay loop. The worst part about him is that he appears randomly when the player least expects him, more specifically when you've swapped all your food and healing items for a bunch of shiny valuables. To quote the ancestor, glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, all paid in blood. Number 6. Krampus and his naughty list. Don't starve. In Don't Starve, you're forced to survive in a harsh and dangerous world with nothing but your own wits and 2 hands. The game does want you to make good use out of whatever resources you can find, but that said, if you get a little overzealous when you're exploiting the world will get you right back. People who get greedy and overhunt creatures for meat will be in for a nasty surprise when their food hoarding causes Krampus to spawn near their base. You see, Don't Starve has a secret naughtiness tracker that increases every time the player kills an innocent animal. When the naughtiness level reaches a high enough number a little too quickly, a special boss called Krampus will appear and begin stealing all of your items. This is already a big annoyance as it is, but to make things worse, the only way to get rid of him is to kill him, and that is easier said than done, as he is an incredibly tough opponent. For this reason, it's advisable that you do your hunting in moderation. Getting too much meat all at once may just turn you into a minced survivor pie instead. Number 5. A taste for Dream Wine. Total War Warhammer 3. In Total War Warhammer 3, the player can find powerful artifacts that greatly enhance your character's power. Some of them, however, look only good on paper, and if the player is too tempted by their great buffs to notice that there's something off about them, the price they pay for blindly chasing after power can be pretty darn awful. The Jug of Dream Wine is a unique item that the player can get by visiting a unique location called the Exquisite Vineyard. The place it comes from is implied to be corrupted by the powers of the chaos god of temptation, Slaanesh, which is why a smart player would immediately realize it's probably not wise to touch anything that comes out of it. Still, the jug does offer an incredible amount of powerful modifiers, like immortality and increased resistance, which is why the less concerned of players will ignore its dubious origin and just use it anyway. The problem with this is that after a few turns, those great buffs are replaced by an addiction to the Dream Wine, which lowers the character's leadership modifier and causes them to spread demonic corruption wherever they go. Well, seems like someone needs an intervention. Number 4. Pay Gus with gold or your life. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is an RPG set in the arts and crafts version of the Mushroom Kingdom. The first location in the game is Rogueport, a rough and sleazy town run by a criminal gang known as the Robo Thieves. In order to pass through their territory, you have to pay 10 coins to their gate guard Gus. That's each time you visit the eastern side of the city. Now, 10 coins really isn't that much money, but some players might feel like they don't want to pay each time they need to visit the location. If that's the case, you can refuse Gus's demand, but then you'll quickly discover that 10 coins are not worth your life. If you don't pay the toll, Gus will attack you, and despite being a simple henchman, he's secretly an incredibly difficult opponent. Because of his spear, you can't use any jumping attacks as he automatically deflects them, and his own attacks deal quite a lot of damage. Unless you confront him at a later part of the game when you're sufficiently powerful, it is much smarter to just pay his cheap toll. Otherwise, you'll probably pay with your humiliating defeat. Number 3. Blappy makes you an offer you can't refuse. Super Paper Mario. Super Paper Mario is another RPG from everybody's favorite plumber. It's also another Mario title that likes to make life harder for greedy and stingy players. In Chapter 4-2, Mario and his friends go to a different planet where they meet an elder alien called Blappy. The old blue bull, which is the name of Blappy's species, which totally doesn't make it confusing to tell which is which, tells you about a mysterious space treasure that he spent his entire life searching for. Afterward, he gives you an ancient clue which could help you find the treasure for him, but Blappy's wisdom costs money. 1,000 coins to be exact, which is 100 times you could enter that area in the last entry. Yeah, I do simple math. What of it? Let's keep going. Since the money in the game caps at 999, you have to ask him to lower it for you. The first time you ask him for a discount, he'll lower the amount to 100 coins, and if you do it again, he'll let you in on his secret for just 10. At this point, most people would accept, but if you're greedy, you might ask for an even lower price, which will get Blappy so angry, he'll bring the price back to 100 without a means of lowering it. Sorry, but you don't get to swindle an old man like that. Number 2. Thieves Get Electrocuted, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is a bizarre addition to the series in which Link has to find a way to wake up from his dream. All the people you meet are figments of your character's imagination, but that said, stealing from them will still have very tangible consequences. One of the most traumatizing things that can happen to you in the game is getting caught stealing by Koholint Island's shopkeeper. If you're a sneaky enough person, it is possible to grab an item from the vendor's shop and then walk out before paying. At this point, you might think you've just committed the perfect crime. However, the next time you come back to the shop, you'll see that greed does in fact not pay. The moment you step through the door, the clerk will curse you for stealing from him and then fry Link alive with a loud and terribly flashy lightning zap. The punishment is genuinely disturbing and can cost you your playthrough, as if you don't want to be electrocuted, you can just never come back to the shop again. Grudges. Valid. But yikes. Number 1. Toll Collector's Wrath, Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3's Shadow-Cursed Lands location features 3 optional bosses, and one of them, Geringa Thorm, is specifically designed to punish players like me who love to hoard huge amounts of gold. If you're wondering if I died here, I did. As a cursed toll collector, Geringoth is obsessed with money and will demand the player give her all their shiny coins if they wish to pass her checkpoint. If you agree, the corrupted creature will surprisingly respect its part of the deal and let you go. But if you choose not to lose your entire wealth to some creepy undead monster, Geringoth will immediately attack you and use your own net worth against you. The boss comes equipped with a special ability that deals damage based on the amount of gold inside your party's inventory. The multiplier is so great that if you keep 1,000 coins on you, the toll collector can wipe out your whole party in a couple turns. I didn't know this is what was happening. Now I know. Makes sense. Okay, cool. Bless you, Michael Fincher, for writing this article. In any case, for this reason, it is smarter to pay the toll. Geringoth won't hit you so hard if you attack her, and you can just pick up your gold from her body after the fight.